Hello, very good morning. You're watching the breakfast news this Monday morning on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are this morning's headlines. All-party delegation to Kashmir meets 200 stakeholders in Srinagar. Separatist snub offers for talks. Fresh round of violence hits valley. Prime Minister Modi calls for collective, coordinated and targeted action to combat global slowdown at G20 summit. Chinese president warns against empty talks at summit, urges leaders to prescribe remedies. India and China underscore significance of BRICS nations at informal meeting of group of sidelines of G20. India makes hard-hitting intervention, says BRICS must intensify efforts against terror and its sponsors. Mother Teresa canonized at mass event at the Vatican. Pope Francis hails her as emblematic figure of womanhood and tireless worker of mercy. And counting underway after first major elections in Hong Kong since pro-democracy protests in 2014. Turnout highest since territory was handed over to China in 1997. Well, Home Minister Rajnath Singh chaired a meeting of the all-party delegation on Kashmir, which was attended by Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti. During the meeting, a detailed presentation was given by the state government highlighting various issues related to the current scenario in the state. On Sunday, separatists snubbed offers for talks from MPs who are part of the delegation. Meanwhile, fresh round of violence has also been reported in Kashmir. Here's more.
The all-party delegation witnessed hurdles on first day of the Kashmir visit after separatist leaders rebuffed attempts for talks with them. Sharad Yadav, D. Raja and Sitaram Yechuri received the most hostile reception after separatist Hurriyat leader Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani refused to meet them. While the leaders managed to meet detained separatist leader Yasin Malik, a breakthrough could not be reached. Moderate Hurriyat leader Mirwais Umar also refused any talks with the delegation member Asaduddin Owaisi. Earlier in the day, separatists rejected Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti's invitation to participate in talks, with the all-party delegation terming the attempt as deceitful.
ऐसा है कि हमारा काम है हम इस देश के लिए है तो देश के खातिर जब कई तरह के काम ऐसा करना पड़ते हैं जिससे मान अपमान का कोई मामला नहीं।
तीनों ने मुझसे कहा कि उन्होंने एक मुश्तरका मुत्तफ़िक़ा फ़ैसला लिया है कि वो इस ऑल पार्टी डेलीगेशन के किसी भी रुकन से नहीं बात करेंगे और उन्होंने कहा है कि यहाँ पर जो वायलेंस हुआ, यहाँ पर जो हालात चल रहे हैं, इसीलिए उन्होंने फैसला लिया है।
Lashing out at the centre, former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah said all party delegations have lost credibility because there was no follow-up in the past after such visits. He also criticised the state for keeping the Hurriyat leaders in detention during the time of talks.
You need to open channels of communication to address the political nature of the problem. You cannot either tire this agitation out and you cannot crush it. You cannot buy out a solution to it. You will have to address it politically.
Cutting across party lines, 26 members from 20 parties met around 200 stakeholders, including members of the civil society, academics, teachers, and fruit and saffron growers. Leaders said that they were hopeful of finding a solution for restoration of peace in the valley, even as protesters torched the DM's office in the Shopian district. Violent clashes have claimed 71 lives since the killing of Hizbul Mujahideen militant Burhan Wani on 8th of July. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a bilateral meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the G20 summit. India raised its concern with China over the China-Pakistan economic corridor, which runs through POK and terrorism emanating from the region. Modi told Xi that the two countries need to be sensitive to each other's strategic interests. Modi also said that the fight against terror should not be motivated by political considerations. On his part, Xi said that China is willing to work with India to maintain their hard-won sound ties and further boost bilateral cooperation. It was a 35-minute meeting between the two leaders, which is their 8th so far.
The India-China partnership is important not only for the two countries, but for the entire region and the world. Prime Minister said that as a matter of principle, both countries would have to be sensitive to each other's strategic interests. In order to promote positive convergences, we would also need to prevent growth of negative perceptions. For this, the specific actions by both countries would play the major role. India has worked, he said, to make progress in the closer developmental partnership with China. In particular, he highlighted that we have succeeded in maintaining peace and tranquility on the border.
Well, Prime Minister Modi also held meetings with other world leaders on the sidelines of the G20 summit. Modi exchanged pleasantries with US President Barack Obama and met him briefly. The two leaders had another opportunity to exchange views during an informal evening program. Obama, in his intervention during the G20 summit, praised Modi for the recent tax reform as an example of bold policy in an otherwise difficult global economic scenario. Modi met his Australian counterpart Malcolm Turnbull too on the sidelines of the summit. Turnbull assured his country's support to India's bid for the NSC membership, and the two leaders agreed to deepen the bilateral defence and security cooperation. Prime Minister also met Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia Mohammed bin Salman and held discussions on the UNSC reforms and on enhancing bilateral ties in various areas, including energy and maritime security. In the meeting, Modi called for strengthened partnership with Saudi Arabia in various areas such as maritime security, infrastructure, low-cost housing and the energy sector. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called for collective, coordinated and targeted action to combat global slowdown. During his intervention at the summit on Sunday, Modi laid out an agenda for structural reforms to revive growth. The Prime Minister also took part in the informal BRICS meet ahead of the G20 summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi told G20 members that a difficult conversation was not enough to combat global slowdown. Addressing leaders at the 11th G20 summit, the Prime Minister called for collective, coordinated and targeted action. Laying out an agenda for structural reforms to revive global growth, Modi said there was a need to improve financial system, boost domestic production, enhance infrastructure investment and create a pool of human capital. Earlier, Chinese President Xi Jinping, who addressed the summit, urged leaders to prescribe remedies for the world economy to embark on a road of robust, sustainable, balanced and inclusive growth. He also warned against empty talk.
我现在宣布，20个集团领导人杭州峰会开幕。面对当前挑战，我们应该完善全球经济治理。 夯实机制保障。
Ahead of the G20 summit, an informal meet of BRICS leaders was also held. Prime Minister Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping said that BRICS is an influential voice in the international discourse and it must play a bigger role.
As BRICS are an influential voice in the international discourse, it is therefore our shared responsibility to shape the international agenda and do so in a manner that helps all the developing nations achieve their objectives.
Prime Minister Modi also made a hard-hitting intervention during his BRICS address and said terrorists in South Asia or anywhere for that matter do not own banks or weapon factories and hence efforts must intensify against terror and its sponsors.
It was important for us to identify the suppliers and exporters and financiers of terrorism. Otherwise, the world is going to face a huge problem and challenge in the coming weeks and months. His overall message was that we need a unified approach on countering terrorism.
Day one of the G20 ended with a gala dinner hosted by the Chinese president for all visiting leaders. The two-day summit will draw to a close today. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, on the sidelines of the G20 summit on Sunday, United States held talks with Russia on Syria on a couple of tough issues. After meeting with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov, US Secretary of State John Kerry said that many technical issues on the US-Russia deal on Syria have been worked out, but a couple of tough issues remain. The US has agreed to meet with the Russian side again today to bridge the gap on a couple of remaining points. Military officials from both the US and Russia, which back opposite sides in Syria's 5-year war, have been meeting for weeks to try to work out on terms of a deal. Russia has backed Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, while the United States has worked with the moderate opposition forces fighting Assad. The White House has said that Obama and Russian President Vladimir Putin likely would have the chance to talk informally on the sidelines of the G20. No time for that meeting has been announced.
An awful lot of technical things have been worked out. A lot of things are clear, but there still remain, as I say, a couple of tough issues. We've got to figure out how to make certain both of us can be comfortable with a resolution to those issues. So that's what we're working on.
In news from the Vatican now, Mother Teresa has been canonized by Pope Francis at a grand ceremony at the city-state. The event saw lakhs of pilgrims reaching the venue to witness the ceremony, while back home people watched the ceremony on television. The decision to announce Mother Teresa a saint was taken after 2 miracles were attributed to her name.
Lakhs of people from around the world, Catholics, including hundreds of blue and white robed nuns from the Missionaries of Charity, congregated at the Vatican on Sunday to attend the canonization of the Church's newest saint, Mother Teresa. Even before Pope Francis completed the formula for the canonization, applause broke out as he declared Blessed Teresa of Calcutta to be a saint. A huge portrait of Mother Teresa, whom the Church credits with having performed 2 miraculous cures of the sick, hung from St. Peter's Basilica during the colourful ceremony. A 12-member delegation led by Minister of External Affairs Sushma Swaraj and the delegation from West Bengal and New Delhi, including Mamata Banerjee and Arvind Kejriwal, were also part of the event.
Et vitae Christianae incrementum, autoritate Domini nostri Iesu Christi, Beatorum Apostolorum Petri et Pauli ac nostra, natura deliberazione prehabita et divina ope sepius implorata.
While Mother Teresa was being made a saint at the Vatican, people back home in India cheered as they watched the on TV. In Kolkata, at the Missionaries of Charity, visitors poured in to celebrate and offer flowers at her tomb. A Catholic church near Mumbai dedicated to Mother Teresa was rechristened as Saint Mother Teresa Church, while special prayers and mass processions were organized by churches in Kerala.
It was the most wonderful and blessed experience, I should say. We've come here as a family, especially from Goa, for the canonization of Blessed Mother.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also tweeted, Sainthood of Mother Teresa is a memorable and proud moment. Indian Post released a commemorative postage stamp on her as part of the celebrations, while in Odisha an important road was renamed after her.
It was incredible. I had the opportunity to know personally Mother Teresa 25 years ago, and so I was waiting for this moment. I was in the Mass of Beatification because I was working in Rome, and so I was waiting for this moment, the canonization.
Born Agnes Gongsa Bojaxio in 1910, Mother Teresa set up her Missionaries of Charity in the slums of Kolkata in 1950 and made it her headquarters for nearly half a century. Earning global recognition for her unending work and compassion for the poor, Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. She breathed her last on 5th of September 1997 and she was beatified in 2003. While most of the Catholic Church's saints are honoured decades after their deaths, Mother Teresa has been granted sainthood just 19 years after her death. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Homai Vyara Wala, better known by her pseudonym Dalda 13, was India's first woman photojournalist. Vyarawala entered the field of photojournalism in the late 1930s. For nearly 30 years, till she retired in the early 1970s, at the peak of her career, she made a massive impact. Vyarawala clicked some iconic pictures of political and national leaders. Gandhiji, Nehru, Jinnah, Indira Gandhi have been subjects of her vast photographic collection. Prime Minister Nehru, she says, was her favourite. In 2011, Homai Vyarawala was conferred the Padma Vibhushan, the country's second highest civilian award.
I'm Amritanshu Rai, you're watching Constitutionally Yours.
We also have to think about the integrity of the nation as a whole.
Intricacies of the procedural laws should not be an impediment while dispensing justice.
Government has a problem in the complex land tenure system of the state.
How effective is the existing system of center-state relation?
The centre needs to also articulate the aspirations of the people of the state.
Join us as we try to understand contemporary issues related to the Constitution. Watch Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, a Delhi court on Sunday sent sacked AAP Minister Sandeep Kumar to one-day police custody a day after he was arrested on charges of rape. Police had sought 14 days of custody for questioning Kumar on the basis of the statements given by the complainant.
Sacked Delhi Minister and AAP MLA Sandeep Kumar, arrested on charges of rape on a complaint of a woman, was on Sunday produced in a Delhi court, which remanded him to police custody for one day. Kumar was produced before a magisterial court, which sent him to police custody. Police had sought 14-day custody for questioning Kumar on the basis of the statements given by the complainant. Police added that they wanted to find out more such cases of exploitation by Kumar.
ड्यूटी मजिस्ट्रेट साहब के सामने पेश करा और 14 दिन का पुलिस रिमांड मांगा। हमने उस चीज को टूथ एंड नेल अपोज करा। हमने कहा कि पुलिस को अगर कोई भी 14 दिन का पुलिस रिमांड चाहिए तो उसको उनको लिए जस्टिफिकेशन देना पड़ेगा। जज साहब ने उनसे कहा कि भाई आप इसका बताओ कि आपका जस्टिफिकेशन क्या है। जिस चीज को बताने में पुलिस वाले नाकामयाब रहे और कोर्ट में हमने पूरी ताकत लगा के इस चीज को अपोज करा, तो कोर्ट ने हमारी बात को मानते हुए सिर्फ 1 दिन का पुलिस रिमांड दिया है पुलिस को।
However, Sandeep Kumar's wife came out in his support, claiming that he was falsely implicated in the scandal. Speaking to media persons, she said that the family stands by him.
आपको लगता है पूरा पॉलिटिकल आडंबर आपके पति को फंसाया गया?
देखिए, हम जो भी है राजनीतिक साजिश है बहुत बड़ी।
Kumar was arrested on Saturday. After 12 hours of interrogation, the police searched Sandeep Kumar's house. Police suspect the objectionable CD was filmed in the house. The police have booked him over allegations including rape, causing hurt with an intent to commit an offence, and publishing or transmitting of materials containing sexually explicit act, among others. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the Aam Aadmi Party on Sunday appointed actor and comedian Gurpreet Singh Guggi as the Punjab unit convener. He has replaced Sucha Singh Chotepur, who was removed from the post for allegedly taking a bribe from a party volunteer. Guggi was appointed by AAP's Political Affairs Committee in Delhi. According to a party release, Guggi, who joined the Aam Aadmi Party in February this year, will take charge soon. Meanwhile, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who attended the canonization ceremony of Mother Teresa in Rome, told supporters that he was concerned about the situation in Punjab and would oversee the affairs of the party from next week. Well, 2 more Indians have been infected with the dreaded Zika virus in Singapore. As Singapore grapples with rising number of mosquito-borne diseases, the Indian High Commission authorities are in regular contact with Singapore's health ministry. The ministry is reviewing the practice of isolating potential Zika-infected patients. So far, 15 Indian nationals tested positive for the mosquito-borne disease in the city-state. In February, the World Health Organization had declared Zika a public health emergency after women affected by it had given birth to children with small heads. In other international news now, Turkish forces and Syrian rebels cleared the Islamic State group from the last areas of the Syrian-Turkish border under their control on Sunday. The advance came after Turkey launched an operation on August 24th, targeting both the ISIS and Syrian Kurdish forces that have been key to driving the jihadists out of other parts of the Syrian-Turkish border. The loss of the Turkish border will also deprive Islamic State of a key transit point for recruits and supplies, though the group continues to hold territory in both Syria and Iraq. Last month, government forces had lost the area after insurgents captured several military academies and opened a corridor into rebel-held parts of Syria's largest city. Well, votes are being counted after Hong Kong held its first major election since the pro-democracy protests in 2014. The turnout has been the highest since the territory was handed over to China in 1997, leading to a delay in the announcement of results. Voters chose members for the territory's 70-seat Legislative Council. Some 58% of Hong Kong's 3.8 million registered voters turned out, compared to 45.2 in 2008. The main parties competing are divided by their stances on the territory's relationship with Beijing.
呼籲大家選民喺今日晚上10點半票站開放之前呢，或者票站關門之前呢，大家出嚟呢踴躍投票，選出大家支持嘅立法會議員。
I think it's very, very important since it is the first January after the umbrella movement. Whether CY will go or whether the resolution of the Standing Committee of the People Congress of China will be withdrawn. It's all in our hands.
The Pan-Democrats or the non-establishment camp gain a lot of seats. That is sending a signal which the Hong Kong civic society is blooming, and there are lots of different forces, but we could join our hands and against the Communist Party very effectively.
新陳代謝啊嘛，成日都做嗰個舊嗰個咧，佢做得唔好，拋出嚟新嘅政策上場咯。
Well, here's a roundup of the other international news in World Wrap. Bangladesh on Sunday summoned Pakistan's acting High Commissioner to protest its interference in its affairs. This came after Islamabad said it was deeply saddened by the execution of a top Islamist party figure for atrocities committed during the war to leave Pakistan. Mir Qasim Ali, a key financier of the Jamaat-e-Islami party, was executed on Saturday for war crimes. Angela Merkel's ruling CDU party has been beaten into third place by an anti-immigrant and anti-Islam party in elections in a northeastern German state. Partial results show that the centre-left SDP got 30%, while AfD party took about 21% of the vote. The German Chancellor's CDU was backed by only about 19% of those who voted. The vote was seen as a key test before German parliamentary elections in 2017. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will hold talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping today, the first such meeting in more than a year, as Asia's two largest countries are locked in a territorial dispute. The meeting will follow the conclusion of the two-day G20 summit that started on Sunday in the Chinese city of Hangzhou. Ties between Japan and China have also been strained by the South China Sea dispute, with Japan urging China to adhere to a ruling by an international court that invalidated China's territorial claims there. 3 Poland ministers who would make an urgent visit to London following attacks on its nationals in Britain, including a murder which may have been a hate crime. The announcement came hours after 2 Polish men were assaulted in a British town following a vigil for a fellow Pole killed in August. And there was an upsurge in the number of reported hate crimes around the period of June 23rd referendum, in which Britons voted to leave the European Union. finally, some sports news now and news from the US Open. Top seeds Sania Mirza and Ivan Dodic have crashed out of the US Open after their second round match in straight sets against Barbara Krejcikova and Marin Draganza. And in one of the biggest upsets in the US Open so far, 14-time Grand Slam champion and 4th seed Rafael Nadal crashed out of the US Open on Sunday, losing a 5-set thriller against world number 25 Lucas Pauli of France. Meanwhile, Frenchman Jo-Wilfried Tsonga reached the US Open quarterfinals for the second straight year after beating American Jack Sock in 4 sets. 2014 US Open runner-up Caroline Wozniacki eliminated 8-seeded American Madison Keys 6-3, 6-4 to reach the US Open quarterfinals, and last year's US Open runner-up Roberta Vinci also reached the quarterfinals. Well, that's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a good day.
Serenko nets Roberta.